Friends, welcome, welcome, welcome. We are excited to be with you today. It is a Monday, and you know what Mondays are? I always say this about Fridays. I say Friday's the greatest day. I think Mondays are the greatest day because there's so much that goes on over the weekend, so many news stories popping, so much happening, and we have good news. We have a lot of wins coming up. A lot of wins. There was a big update. Rumble had sent out a letter on their social media. I think it was on Friday. And they had talked a lot about all the things that they fixed. So I'm hoping that if you guys are on your mobile devices or wherever, that you've updated the app, because they've made apparently quite a few changes to things. So things should be a little bit smoother. We know we've been having little bumps and glitches here and there, but things should be rolling a little bit smoother. Where are we? We are one day away from what they call Super Tuesday, and Lewis and I are going to have a little chat about that. But as we get going here, I just want to let you guys know to go visit screwbiggov.com. There is Lewis. You see him in the background there. Screwbiggov.com is where you want to be if you want to find out everything that Lewis is up to. And he's got his fingers in lots of pots, my friends. He is a busy man. Works through the weekend and got a lot of stuff going on. You could find cages. You could find rememberyouroath.com, and you can find, guess what? His social media links. They're probably the most important thing to keep on top of him, because he's moving and shaking all the time. Unlike me, he's really moving fast. We post all the good stuff here on Renegade Media on Telegram. If you're not following, please do so. Phoebe is posting up a storm this morning, finding all kinds of stuff, and I post all the videos that we use here on the show there as well. So let me introduce my esteemed co-host, Mr. Lewis Herms. How are you, my friend? He's frozen in time.
Hey, Robert Imbrayali, how was your weekend, sir?
I had a great weekend of planning and looking forward to what the next stages will be for the show, and where the studio will be located, and just did a lot of self-introspection a little bit too, because, believe it or not, we're about 90 days away from hitting the 1 year mark that we've been doing this show. I can't believe it's that fast, but that's where we are, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's like, okay, so where do we go from here? Year one done. It will be in the bag soon enough. We'll turn around and it'll be there. And then the question then becomes, okay, what's next?
It's always what's next
Yep.
with us, isn't it?
Yep, it always is. It always is.
So we have two, three, four things going at once, but that's what we're just called to do. So it is what it is.
It at this point it is. Yep, no question.
Because we're in extraordinary times, and extraordinary times require extraordinary measures and extraordinary effort. And that's why I nag we the people. And I know, trust me, I know it gets annoying. Lewis is always saying, get off the couch. You don't want your impression of your couch to be bigger than your impression on the world, blah, blah, blah. He's so annoying. Guys, this is our last chance. That's why I have so much passion for this. And that's why we need every ounce of effort, because we're fighting against the biggest controllers in the history of the world.
Yep.
Let's put that in perspective. Put that in perspective. The biggest controllers in history. This is not one country. This is a multitude of deep state actors that have been trying to do this stuff, and successfully, for over 1,000 years. That's what we're working on ending here. So it's going to take maximum effort. It is what it is, and I know people get upset with me, and because I go, I don't care. I just, we need all hands on deck. And
what are you saying, Lewis? It's not a popularity contest?
Not for me.
No.
Clearly it is for some podcasters. We know that.
Yeah, we know.
But no, all we care about is we the people. Yep. That's it. That's it. So, but what's important for you to know is that doesn't mean you have to go out and protest. I'd recommend going to a city council or a board meeting somewhere. You don't have to do that. But, if you're diligent in having conversations with people, wearing your message on your shirt, doesn't have to be Screwbig, whatever your message is that starts that conversation, or just be the Facebook, guru that just floods everything on there, whatever it is. You can do it. There's a part for everybody here. And when it's time, and this is what's important, the questions will be asked, I think, in the near future from the youngsters. If we're successful, which I believe we will be, what did you do to help us? If we fail, question's going to be the same.
But it's going to be
What
harder
did
to
you
answer.
do?
Yeah. Hmm.
What did you do to help us?
Yep.
Ultimately, those are one's very easy to answer if you participate, and the other one is tough to answer if you don't.
Yep.
So it's on you.
Yeah, and we talked a little bit last week about putting together a group, social media on Telegram, so people can take some of the content that we have here and share it out as well. And so many stepped up for it. So, guys, that is in the works. We're working on that. We should have it done before the end of the week, and we'd appreciate any help. And you say you're a digital warrior. Hey, fantastic, because you can put this content out there. And one of the cool things about social media is you can comment on posts that other people put out there. And the more you comment, the more the post gets circulated because the algorithm says, ooh, people like this post. And what's interesting is there's less censorship in the comments than there are in the main post.
Mm-hmm.
Henceforth, you see so many people saying, link in the comments. Why? Because if the link's in the description, the algorithm goes, there's a link in here. We don't want to lose people. But if it's in the comments, not so much.
Yeah, so true. And I had a great discussion with Alan Fountain this weekend exactly on that. And he's going to be teaming up with us. I know you're always the last to know, Robert, because we're so busy. He's going to be teaming up with us to help us really, really make the social media grow and help get the word out to everybody, young and old.
Yep. Yeah. There's so many social media sites out there that we know the strategies, we know how to get it out. The thing that we've been missing, I think, since the beginning of this is time. It's just like, we're both, schedules completely full. I work until sometimes 8, 10 o'clock at night every day. And the weekends, it's like there's always something going on that I need to get done. So it's like there just isn't, it's like, oh, Rob, you have all this time. Not really. It was 6 hours today to put together today's show. And it's not because there's so much content. It's like we pick and choose, and then we have to look into it, and then we have to, there's all that time that goes
Then you
into
have
it.
to then you have to vet it.
You have to vet it.
Then you make sure it's great, and then you run it by me, and then I mean there's a lot of work that you do, and people don't even have a clue.
Yep. But we
it's
have a
not
great show
about
coming
us.
tomorrow.
Oh wow, do we?
Should we share?
We should share now and probably later. So
Okay.
tomorrow we have a very rare exclusive interview where Nicholas Viniaman will be answering questions, not asking them. That will be fire.
Can't wait.
Fire.
That'll be fun.
That is going to be so fun.
Yep.
I think he's probably a little bit nervous because he doesn't do this often. But
often or at all, I've never seen him be interviewed.
Right. Well, we kind of did one in a windy alley in Miami one time, but that's about it. So this will be fire. So I think people will absolutely love it. They love to hear from Nicholas, and they want to know what his opinion is.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I made him a compelling
an offer you can't refuse.
Yeah, proposal. He's like, oh man.
And if you don't accept the offer, well, we don't go there.
Yeah. It's your kneecaps, not mine.
That's right. Oh, brother. Yes. Yeah. Denise Fulbrecht says nice, and need to be in Florida says I love Nick. Fantastic. So we know Nick's got a big following, and we love Nick as well. And it'd be interesting to see what he has to share tomorrow, what he will share, because that's one of the things people say is they don't know much about Nick. Right. It's because he gets on and he's always asking the questions and really never talks about himself. So it'll be interesting to get a feel for who he is.
Yeah. Hey, and guys, I'm whispering so Nick doesn't hear. Go ahead and send in the chat or Telegram or something, maybe a question or two you want us to ask him. Don't tell him.
Shh. He's not watching anyway. Nighttime over there now. Oh, brother. So what'd you think about the news this morning? You woke up and boom, right away there was some big news.
Yeah. Well, you know
Nine to
what?
zero, big news.
I was going to say that's what struck me is the nine.
Yeah.
I'm like, are we turning the corner here? You know, nine. So that means let's assume that they're not playing a part. Let's assume that they're actually these biased judges that we believe them to be. That means that there was no compelling argument to have a dissenting opinion.
Yep.
Think about that. So there's no dissent there. That's crazy. That tells you, if that's true, how wacky Colorado is. And I guess let's articulate exactly what we're talking about. It's not a baseball score. This is a Supreme Court decision on whether or not to keep Trump off the Colorado ballot.
Yep. Yep. So yeah, 3 cheers for MAGA. We have a win, no question, and there was no compelling reason, as you say. They're trying to pull the 14th Amendment out there, and it doesn't work. The Supreme Court said the states lack the power to enforce Section 3 of the 14th Amendment to the Constitution against presidential candidates. And this is a quote from their judgment. For the reasons given, responsibility for enforcing section against federal office holders and candidates rests with the Congress and not the states. The Congress, you remember, didn't charge him with insurrection. They impeached him, but they didn't charge him with insurrection. The judgment of the Colorado Supreme Court therefore cannot stand. Wiped out, gone. So there's quite a high bar to cross to be able to keep a candidate off the ballot, and this didn't come anywhere near it.
High bar, but yet simple.
Yeah.
It's pretty simple. If the Congress didn't do anything about it, you can't.
Yep. This is a law that was written after the Civil War, right? Yeah. North versus South, and it was meant to keep those insurrectionists off the ballot.
Yeah. So it's very interesting.
Yep.
And I'm loving the fact that it was 9-0. Now, of course, so I just decided to look at several mainstream media posts on this.
Oh boy, you must have been laughing all morning, huh?
Oh well, so the way they tried to spin this, you rarely saw any of them say it was a 9-0 vote.
Right.
By the way, anytime it goes in their favor, or even closely not in their favor but close, and there's dissenting opinions, they on the first line is the vote, whether it's 5-4, 6-3, whatever. A 9-0 vote against what the mainstream media wants. You read down their whole articles, and they say majority decision.
It's a unanimous decision. I've
unanimous,
seen that a lot.
Yeah. They say unanimous decision. I'm like, okay, call it 9-0. That's a big deal.
Yep.
Right. But they're intentionally avoiding this because it's embarrassing for them. So
that means they had no standing at all.
No, they had none.
They had nothing.
They couldn't get a person that can't even identify a gender to identify whether he was an insurrectionist or not.
Yep.
Come on, man.
Yep. Well, the reading of the 14th Amendment, I mean, if you were to look at that and read it, there's no judge in the world that would say this qualified. And we knew that because we've been saying it for a long time. It doesn't meet the bar at all because he's never been charged with insurrection, Trump. He's never been charged with it. So you need that as a bare minimum. And then Congress has to step in, and I think there's a couple more steps to it. It's not impossible to meet the bar, but this came nowhere near it.
No. And I have a feeling you're probably going to talk about the Colorado's response to this.
Oh yeah, got Jenna Griswold coming up next.
Oh, good. Another part of the coven, by the way. If you want to know who's in the coven.
Yep. Yeah, she is visibly upset here about this ruling. Look at this video.
My larger reaction is disappointment. I do believe that states should be able, under our Constitution, to bar oath-breaking insurrectionists. And ultimately, this decision leaves open the door for Congress to act to pass authorizing legislation. But we know that Congress is a nearly non-functioning body. So ultimately, it will be up to the American voters to save our democracy in November.
Up to the voters to save the democracy because Congress is a non-functioning body. Well, she's not terribly wrong there, but
They're not very
they're
functional.
not very
Right.
functional.
So I don't know if anybody noticed though, that's a witch. You can tell she's spell casting right there with her eyes and her eyebrows.
Yep.
She's trying to convince you of something that's not even true. She said my favorite word, we won't even have a democracy. We don't want a democracy.
That's right.
We want a republic. So that's right, right? And she said he's an insurrectionist. Well, okay. Where's the proof of that? You have none.
You have none. You have no charges. Yeah.
Zero, zip, zilch, zippo, the big goose egg. Is it just because Jenna Griswold says he's an insurrectionist? Is that good enough? I mean, am I wrong? I guess we the people don't count anymore, right? These appointed, these selected representatives. Why not? Why wouldn't they just lie about everything else?
Right.
Right. That's the way we have to look at it. So that's why I don't take any of this serious. This is just a bunch of spell casting. And we're having a discussion with a friend of ours this weekend who the spell casting gets him sometimes, and he knows it. He's looking at the news all the time, and he knows that this is BS, and he knows it's spell casting, and it still gets him.
Yep.
So you guys have to know when you're looking at this stuff, that's what the intention is. It's constant manipulation, propaganda, MK Ultra, seeding your mind with little words and phrases that you always go, huh, that's what they do. So as long
repetition.
as you know that, and they repeat and repeat, repeat again. All you have to do is just laugh at them and see it. And it's so easy to understand what they're doing.
Well, you have the perfect example after 9/11. You knew it wasn't what they were saying. And after 3 days of the repetition and the constant beating of that same drum, that same story, that same narrative, you started to believe it. And I think that happened to a lot of us. Yeah. Right?
Well, the day of, Robert, I was saying this is controlled demolition.
Yeah.
The day of. 3 days later, let's go get the bad guys.
Yep.
Like, how could that happen? And it took me
that's how good they are at it. Yeah.
Yeah, it took me a year, maybe 2 years to snap out of it. But that's how good they are. So, and you have to be transparent. So I guess I wasn't as awake as I thought I was, or maybe I was awake, but I still got spellcasted and sucked into it. So we just have to understand what we're constantly looking at. The propaganda through DARPA, it's just, I did a post on this that I think is eye-opening on what DARPA does.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's like, we talked about this, Louis, behind the scenes, too. We said, we're not immune to it, too. We could be swayed in the wrong direction at times. We try really hard not to ride the emotional wave of this stuff so you don't go too high and too low. Yeah, we're excited. We see the 9-0. Okay, next. You know what I mean? That's good. I'm not going to be upset about it, but there's still a lot of work to be done. So we don't go too crazy on the high side or too crazy on the low side. And if you can find that sort of that even keel, you'll do better off not riding this emotional wave. And it's really what they want you to do is get into the emotion where the logic is pushed to the back. Then we're our personality. We tend to bring the logic forward a little bit more, and the emotion is kind of secondary to that.
Yeah, I would totally agree with you.
Yeah. Of course, we're very similar in that way. So the Democrats, not to be outdone, guess what they announced today?
I'm not guessing. Tell me.
You're not guessing? Well, I'm going to have
No.
little Jamie Raskin tell you. Yep. So they're going to bring in legislation now. So the Congress gets to decide who gets on the ballot, who doesn't get on the ballot.
This is a joke. It's a freaking joke.
Yeah.
And so my question to Jamie Raskin is, how are you in Congress when you're dual citizenship with Israel?
Good question.
How does that work?
Something to think about, huh?
So curious about that.
Yep.
Where do you really take your direction from?
Now you have to ask the other question. If Trump was really guilty of insurrection, do you think Jack Smith would have passed that off in favor of a classified documents case because he can't win?
That's a great question. He would have been all over.
He would have been all over it. Yeah.
Yeah. Notice though, the anti-Trump crowd is losing their butt everywhere.
Are losing their
I mean,
marbles today. Yeah, it's crazy. Yep.
everywhere. It's beautiful.
And like, we talked about this earlier, guys, and you should be aware, there are going to be weeks when we have a lot of wins. This is one of those weeks. We're seeing a lot of wins. Feels good. Deep breath. We can enjoy it. Suck it all in. Realize that there'll be weeks in ahead that we're going to experience a lot of losses. It's just the way it is. It's just like we're in a war and we win a battle here, we lose a battle there, and it's up and down. And you don't want to be riding the emotional roller coaster, but realize where we are, just be pragmatic about it. And, that's how you're going to survive it. I know people who think they can be on a roller coaster 24/7. You can't, you just can't.
No, I don't want to be on a roller coaster, but I've never been one to ride the roller coaster. To me, I prefer sanity.
Yes. You prefer 2 feet on cement.
Preferred barefoot in the grass, but we'll go with cement today.
So where do these Democrats think they're going to go with this legislation? I don't think it goes anywhere because let's say they have a minority, but only by 1 vote now, right? I think we have a 1 vote majority in Congress now. Eesh.
Yeah. And it seems like there may be some dissenters coming from Congress. We're going to see from the Democrat side. We're going to see. That would be a very interesting transition.
Something we never see.
Yeah, you see that from the Senate often, 1 or 2 every few years, but in Congress, they're generally lockstep.
Yep.
But there's some people that are outwardly complaining right now. I don't think they're good people. I think they're trying to save their ass because they see the writing on the wall.
Right.
And they're thinking they could have cover by maybe switching parties or starting to agree with the Republicans, right? Which are 90% bad also. So it's like, are you really getting to a better side?
They do what's best for them, right? Ideally, that's the game they play. And I think a lot of Democrats on the Democratic side, if you don't vote in lockstep, then you're locked out of the money. You can't for your campaign and you can't get reelected. That's why they're all lockstep on that side. It's fascinating to see. It's like people don't realize. It's like, look, they're all voting the same way. I mean, there's not an individual thinker in that group, not one.
Never. Yeah. Right. Yeah, it's disgusting.
Yeah.
And people say, well, the Republicans should do that. No, they shouldn't. We should have free thinking all the way around. We don't need parties, folks. That's an intentional division in order to create this faux propped up Congress of actors. That's all that is to keep us off balance so we're not thinking straight. You don't want 2 parties. I don't believe you do. I don't want 2 parties. I want to know an individual has free thought. Maybe we need to spend a little bit more time really learning about our legislators instead of just circling the R on the ballot. God forbid we get just a little bit more involved, right? You've trusted your Republicans, and what do you get? You've gotten a uniparty. That's what you've gotten out of it.
Yeah, and if you want to look at business as a model, right? When you have a team that does a really great job and builds a great company, they don't all agree with each other. In fact, it's better if they don't agree and they all throw their ideas on the table and they negotiate and they discuss and they figure out what the best idea is. And sometimes it's a little of this, a little of that. And that's the secret sauce that takes the company to the next level. And they have a lot of these kinds of meetings where if they all agree, the worst possible thing you can have in a company is yes men. You got to get rid of those people because they're just, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Whatever you want, sir. Yes, sir. They're the worst people to have on a company because then the company is led by one. And that's what you have on the Democrat side. You have one narrative and they all have to fall in lockstep. Otherwise, out they go.
So I study business a lot. Traditionally in American businesses, you have a leader that's a dictator. He takes some ideas and then he dictates what he's going to do. In Japan, you have the opposite. And many people complain that in Japan, you don't get a lot done over there because they constantly have these board meetings and everybody gets to participate. Everybody gets to make the decision together and everybody has to come to a conclusion on their own. So I believe for me, it's the middle ground is where it should be. You would have more team, I don't like to call them employees, you'd have more team participation. And then ultimately you would have somebody that takes an honest assessment of what they're proposing and then makes a decision based on that information. That to me is a strong company. So I don't believe in the wholesale Japanese way. I don't believe in the wholesale American corporation way. I think they're both flawed, and just my opinion.
Well, you have the visionary, right? So Steve Jobs in Apple was the visionary, and he had the team around him supporting the vision, and they, it wasn't so much a dictatorship. They all brought their ideas and how do we make this happen? Because he didn't know how to make it happen. He said, this is what I see happening, and the team had to come together to figure it out, right? So in its ideal sense, that's what you want, is you want the visionary. The visionary is a very unique personality. It's a person that could see the future and see what the vision is and see what needs to be done. And that person is critical to the organization, but the dictator is not. When you go into that direction, this is how we're doing it, and you're going to do this, and you're going to do that, the employees lose their motivation, they go. And if you look at the Democratic Party, that's the way it's working. And it's sad because you probably have a lot of brilliant minds there that can't express their opinions because they're shut down so quickly.
So I love that you brought up Steve Jobs, because the deep state cabal had their hands on him.
Right.
Which, by the way, so there's a lot of great things that are created, folks. In fact, let me give you an idea. So entertainers, not all entertainers start out bad. Many of them have phenomenal talent. And then the deep state cabal sees which way they start to go, what direction, and then they grab them, and then they do their business on them. So I don't know about Steve Jobs, but could have started off as a great guy. I can tell you, though, when he started becoming so powerful, I guarantee you somebody like the CIA or whatever got their hands on him, and then he was controlled after that.
Oh, yeah. Any of them that get up to that level. You look at Taylor Swift as a great example of that, too. And we were talking, a lot of the people that we follow, like the Ann Vandersteels of the world, it's like you ask the question, you say...
I don't follow Ann Vandersteel, just to be very clear.
Yeah, well, I'm just saying collectively as a group, she's one of the bigger names in the group, if you will. And you ask the question, well, how did they get so big? What are they doing different than we're doing? How is their content better than ours? And you start asking those questions and there are no answers to it. So it's like you wonder, okay, what's really behind it? Because it takes quite the force to grow something like that. We know how much work we put into this show. We know how much work we put into promoting it, and we're nowhere near those numbers. But how did they get there? Well, she has a whole team. Okay, where'd the team come from? Did it just manifest out of thin air, or was she control opposition? So we don't know the answers yet, but we are asking those kinds of questions, right? Because we want to know these people in our industry.
We have to ask these questions.
Yep.
And I'm not naming any names, but I will definitely say there's evidence, a lot of evidence. I mean, an astronomical amount of evidence that Robert and I have uncovered that there's a lot of so-called high-level podcasters out there that have a support system, let's call it, and do things a certain way because they're being directed to.
Yep.
And we've been approached, by the way. But that was a no. It was a non-starter. Conversation was a total non-starter. And some of these people won't even talk to me anymore, which is fine. That doesn't matter. But it's a non-starter because Robert and I will only answer. Like I said, I did a post. I was having fun and I think I said I take direction from we the people. I get course corrected by my wife, right? And I get my inspiration from God or something like that. It was interesting, but that's pretty much the way I think. So it's just, this is all going to get exposed very, very quickly. There's a very prominent story right now that's kind of exposing itself. As if you're patient and don't ride that roller coaster, it'll happen a lot quicker. Yep.
Yeah, and it has to unfold in a way that we're going to see it because it can't continue, right? And a lot of these people, I was saying this to you, Lewis, when I first met you on the Truth Tour back in Las Vegas. I was saying this. I said, we all are doing this work right now. I said 3 years from now, we're not doing this anymore because it's changed so dramatically. We're going to be called in different directions, right? That it's playing out that way. And a lot of these people who are quote unquote the leaders or the big names in our industry, there'll be no names soon enough because there's nothing more to what they're doing than just they're needed right now. They're playing their role. And when they're no longer needed, that's the end of the audience. That's the end of the content that they're delivering. It'll go away.
Well, ultimately what we understand is people want authenticity.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
And there's entities out there that are completely inauthentic, but people still they've been MKUltra to think that hopium is such an amazing thing, and fear porn is the stuff that you're drawn to. It's unnecessary. You don't need it. Just tell the truth. If there's hope in the truth or fear in the truth, there's hope in the truth or fear in the truth. It is what it is. It's not too complicated, right? But unfortunately, people have another motive, and some people have a motive. Their motive is fame. Some people, which would include how many clicks can I get on something. Some of their motivation is money, and some of it they're just completely controlled opposition. So, most people watching here, I think they have a phenomenal discernment because we see things in chats and text and so on and so forth. They seem like they get it because I see some of the names they bring up. I'm like, yep. And I'm intentionally not bringing up names, and I won't bring up names. And one of the reasons why is because I think it's divisive to do that. But in addition to that, I'm working on a Unity project where I'm trying to bring people together. Now, all the people involved in the Unity project, I don't agree with all of them. But hey, if they can give you a nice inspirational message and let's keep us motivated, I'm good with that.
Yep, absolutely. And that's the idea. We don't need to agree with everyone to appreciate them and respect them. And if you look at the Democratic Party, it's like if I were involved in that world, I'd have a really hard time.
Oh, God.
Right?
Can you imagine?
Put the blinders on. Don't think for yourself. Walk in lockstep with everyone. I'd have a real hard time with that, and I couldn't stay in an environment like that. And I look at those people and I say, where's their moral compass that's allowing them, and they just do it for the notoriety, the fame, the money, whatever their reasoning is. And it's like you could put all that aside and go against who you really are. That's strange to me. Doesn't make sense.
Yeah, and I have a bigger deal with the Republicans, the ones that pretend, because I can't imagine pretending that I was supporting and doing something for you when I knew the whole time I'm doing exactly the opposite.
Right.
That's just so deeply evil. And I know I'm on an island with that when I say Rhino Republicans to me are more evil than Democrats, because at least the Democrats disclose who they are.
Yep.
So I know that's me. That's just my opinion, but it's to me that's the epitome of evil when they're whispering sweet nothings in your ear and then they're knifing you in the kidney. It's just crazy.
2 words, Mitch McConnell. Enough said. Right?
Yes. There's the line, or the high heel wearing one in South Carolina.
Sorry guys, my cough is not quite gone yet. Working on that one. So there's breaking news out of Texas. If you're interested in Texas, Federal Appeals Court reverses a judge ruling allowing Texas immigration law that allows police to arrest illegals. They gave it a stay. Unless the Supreme Court steps in, they can arrest them now. Isn't that cool? This is what they wanted to do. They put this out, and then the judge said, no, you can't do it. And the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals granted a temporary stay of a federal judge's decision to put a Texas law allowing police to arrest illegals on hold for 1 week. The appeals court ruling will stay in place unless the Supreme Court intervenes by March 9th. Think they'll intervene?
I don't know. I actually think this is going to go through because I think it's going to be a clash between local police and the Border Patrol. Because what I believe is going to happen is they're going to try to get them deported, right?
Right.
I don't know if they can use ICE for that because I believe ICE, it has to be a documented person.
Let's just say it. ICE is on ice, right? They're not using them. They're not doing what
they're not.
Yeah.
So then what happens is during that week, the expectation is for them to drive them or the Border Patrol to pick them up. it doesn't matter because all they're doing is processing them and putting them out again.
Yeah, letting them go again. Yep.
So to me, all this would be a 1 week delay. I don't, again, it's another thing that optics makes a rhino Abbott look good, but it probably has no teeth when it comes down to it. And I know people are very excited about this, and I'm not trying to bust anybody's bubbles. I just want to think logically, what happens after that week? They're not, they have to be processed federally, right? And okay, so do you think that the local police are just going to set them on the other side of the border? Great, they'll just walk back over if that's the case.
I'll have to drive them to
So
New Mexico border and drop them off that way.
Right, exactly. So I don't see that happening. So we have to pay it. This would be one to pay attention to because I have a feeling it would be a clash between local police and the border patrol.
Well, this is the next step, right? This is the next step in the ongoing clash, if you will, between Texas and the federal government.
Now, this is the law that Abbott signed in over a month ago that I ripped him apart for, right?
Yep.
Because he put a month hold on it, which I thought was unnecessary. And of course,
well, it's supposed to go into effect March 5th. I think it goes into effect tomorrow.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. And if you remember what I said right after he put this law in effect, I said, you will now see a massive flow into Texas between that date and March 5th. Huh.
I'm sorry, what happened? Of course we did.
Oh.
Yeah.
Lord, go back, guys. Go look. It's on film or tape or whatever we call that stuff nowadays. Yep. It's on a digital disc but it's on our Rumble channel. I said the problem with this law is everybody's lauding, oh, Abbott, you're so amazing for putting this law. Go, great. He should have enacted it right away. The fact that he put it, was it a 30 or 45 days on it?
Yeah, it was quite a ways out. Well, March 5th was the date, yeah.
I said, guys, you're just going to see a massive flood.
Yeah.
So what it does is it gives a flood to Texas, and it gives them time, them being the cartel, to reorganize where they're going to go next.
Yep.
So everybody looks at this like, oh, this is so amazing, just like they're looking at this. It's not. They're shadowboxing with you, folks. They're playing games, right? And we buy into it all the time. I'm just saying.
Well, New Mexico, as we heard last week in our interview, is a wide open space nobody's talking about. It's not that difficult for the cartels to just funnel the people that way instead, right? So, I mean, there's a lot of ways around this. Temporary injunction.
Our buddies in the chat room. Hello, Alan Fountain. Alan Fountain's going to be doing a segment every week here, and then Alan Fountain and I are doing some work together. I love me some Alan Fountain.
Awesome.
Hi, Alan.
Welcome, Alan. Good to see you in the chat room. All right, let's talk about your dogs. Your dogs need a little bit of attention there. What's going on with these puppies?
I think I need to stop feeding them good food because they're annoying me lately.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, the 3-year-old and the 10-year-old are fighting. What are they fighting up? Attention.
Oh, really?
Yes. So it's more the 3-year-old. So when the husky, got the hiccups. When the husky comes towards one of us, right, he attacks the husky. Oh. That's his new thing, right? And he's like, no, they're mine. Like he's possessive over us, and then he wants to come to us with his tail wagging, and we're like scolding him, and he does the cutest thing. The 3-year-old, he looks like a little baby puppy, even though he's like 165 pounds.
Whoa!
As soon as he gets scolded, he just drops down to the ground, boom, but puts his face on the ground and starts pouting. It's the funniest thing.
Oh wow!
But they're doing phenomenal on the food. In fact, I got a big shipment coming in tomorrow, I think, or the next day.
Tell us about the food. What does it do for you?
Well, what it does for the doggies and the kitties and the horses and other animals, it takes away all the crap. So what happens is you think that our food is poisoned. When I say our, I mean human food. There's virtually no regulations on pet food.
Yeah.
And the stuff they put in pet food is pure poison. And we're getting story after story after story. In fact, I just got one today. Somebody just said we put them on a pet food protocol with you guys, that quick.
Wow.
So it's the I can just say, based on the results that my dogs are getting, I will never go back to pure store-bought food if I can help it. It's not I can't do it anymore, right? And then you have their treats, which are the mushrooms that really get them healthy. There's that C word. Can't say anything else other than that, but it's really, really good stuff. Really, really good stuff. And by the way, folks, as you know, Alan and what's this guy's name I'm with? Robert, sorry. Robert and I have gone through several different products, and for us, this is the best pet treat product I've ever seen in my life.
I wonder if it increases their IQ because he's been studying this guy. I don't know.
Oh my God, that's adorable. And he actually has his hands on the keyboard.
Yeah, I don't know what he was doing there. He was looking for a mate, I guess. I don't know.
That's funny.
But the food
Wow.
is really, so changing. And, we talk often about animals being sickly, but you don't want to get them to that point. So prevention is the way to go. And you put them on better quality food, better diet without all the additives and without all the fillers and the chemicals that are in the traditional food that for the animals. And then they're not going to get sick. They're going to be with you a lot longer and they're going to be a lot happier. I know my cat's a lot happier, and boy, does he annoy me too sometimes. It's like, no, I have work to do. Meow, meow, bumping me. It's like, I don't want to be pet now. I need my food. Cats won't give up, by the way. There's nothing you could do. And they get it in their head they want something. They don't give up until they get it. Maybe we can learn from them. Anyway,
We can.
there's
So
a link
Thumper
in the description.
Instead of Match.com, Thumper is on Catch.com.
Catch.com. I love it.
Bump.
And Denise calls him Trumper. I like that. Trumper is a good name for him.
Yes. Or is he on Feline Harmony? I don't know.
So the link for Pets 24/7 is in the description on the channel that you are watching this on. There's a different link depending on which channel you're on. If you're on Screw Big Gov, if you're on Renegade Media, or on Popular Viewpoint, to name just a few, the link is in the description of the videos there. You'll find it there.
And as you explained to me, if you're on a phone, you probably have to click more, I believe it is, or something below the video.
Yep.
And
You have to expand the
on,
description so you can see it. Yeah.
And if you're on Fire Stick or something else, it's not going to have it in there. So come find us.
Yep. Come find us online. That's the place to be. More liberal meltdown. Oh my gosh, look what they want to do now. The Supreme Court must be dissolved. One ruling goes against them. Now we're going to dissolve the Supreme Court that's been around since the beginning of time. Well, this country.
But
anyway.
here's the way this is going to play out. They're going to start with they want to dissolve the Supreme Court, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then they're going to get enough pushback where they go, well, we don't really mean dissolve the Supreme Court. What we want to do is we want to adapt it so we put a lot more justices on the Supreme Court so 9 people can't go rogue and take this country hostage. That's going to be their next play. And the reason why they do that, folks, is because not that they're going to win the election. I don't know if there will be an election, but if they get in and they can put another 7 judges in and say, we need 16 or we need 18 or 21 or whatever it is, all of those will be Democrats. There will be no recovering for conservatives whatsoever.
Right. Yep.
They only have to do it once.
Yep.
and they will, it's done. We are done if they do that. And they really want to do it. Now, the good news is they're acting as if a president can make that decision. No. That is a supermajority vote in the House. And I believe the Senate only needs 51 if it's a supermajority in the House, but I could be wrong about that. But regardless, I know it's a supermajority vote. So it ain't going to happen. But that's what they're trying to tell people. And they will indicate, you watch, mark my words, that the president has the power to do that. That's why you need to vote in a Democrat.
So they don't need to do a constitutional amendment for this then? Because that's what I was under the impression. They need to amend the Constitution to be able to do that.
Yeah, you need a supermajority to do that.
So you need a Congress of the states then, not just a
That's
Congress.
right, but it has to be ratified.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
So it ain't gonna happen. It's not happening.
Well,
There's just
you and
way
I are
too many
making the assumption they're going to follow the Constitution on this, which we've seen the Constitution's kind of out the window a lot of times here.
Well, the good news is the Supreme Court's been doing a pretty good job at that lately.
Well, literally, their very existence is in the balance at this point.
Really is.
You
It
know?
really is.
Yeah.
And it started with their Roe v. Wade decision,
Mm-hmm.
not the 1970s one.
Yeah.
One just a couple of years ago. It started with the retraction of Roe v. Wade and sending it back to the states. And most of them seem to be pretty consistent with that. And I know people get upset. Well, why don't they they've really not been given a good case, right? The closest to it was oh my God, we are friends with him. What's
Lloyd
the Trump?
Brunson.
Yeah, the Brunson cases. So
Yeah.
the closest to it was the Brunson cases, but they still found holes in that. And I believe the reason why is it's a dog whistle to say here's kind of the things you need to fix in order to make this work. So it is not over yet, folks. I know people think it is over, and it feels like it because we're almost to the 2024 election.
You're starting to sound like 107 here. I don't know.
I know. I'm not going to sing that song though. But it's a hard deal because I know people like Juan are saying it's not over at the same time he's fighting for the 2024 GOP.
Yeah.
Because you have to play both games at the same time.
Well, you got to play like it's going to happen because it may happen. We're kind of assuming it's not. Somebody posted a meme the other day that said, "Have you guys forgotten that the 2024 election is going to be counted on Dominion machines?" I'm like, well, there you go. You know.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's why you can't be putting your faith in that.
Yep. Yeah. And that's going to be the challenge is because, we haven't seen all that much in the way of movement to get those machines out. I don't think we've won a single case against Dominion yet. And until we start winning those and those get banned in more places, I know a couple little counties here, Shasta County here in California, for instance, has banned the machines. But, I thought there'd be more. But it was just an anomaly. It was just that one. That was it. We didn't hear anything else from that.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, what they may do, because they can still do this up to a few months before the election, they may have trouble banning the machines, but what they can do is they can vote for one day, one vote, paper ballots, same day count. So that's how you can kind of circumvent the machines without banning the machines. Does that make sense?
Yep.
So we'll see. I know they're working on that in a lot of cities right now.
Yeah, because I think, the work Mike Lindell has been doing, he's been going county to county to county. I think there's 3,000 to 3,200 counties in this country. Yeah. Excuse me. He's been going to all of them and telling them, look,
it's sad that the people that would benefit from her exposure completely ignore the evidence that she has, which tells you something about
they're
those
complicit. That's why. Yeah, they don't want to know.
They don't want the position because they know they're paid to act like they do.
Mm-hmm.
Wendy Rogers is a perfect example about that.
Yep. Pretends like she's on our side, but then if you look, I never look at their words so much. I always look at their actions, and you see the actions, and you go, okay, that's where they really stand.
Yeah, beautiful.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Super Tuesday tomorrow. Do we have anything to share on that?
Just rename it Stupid Tuesday.
At this point, what difference does it make, right?
Ridiculous.
Yeah.
Well, Nikki Haley's already president because she won DC, and the president is in a corporation of DC. So she's already president, folks, just so you know. So let her cast her spells from DC. But that President Trump guy on Stupid Tuesday, I think he'll probably do okay.
I think he'll cash in quite well tomorrow. Get a lot of delegates, 169 of them from California, 161 in Texas, two of the biggest states, and then the other. I think there's 13 states going tomorrow. I think that'll be kind of fun to watch. We'll see. We'll see how it plays out. But I'm not expecting any surprises. It's not like Nikki Haley's going to pick up states here, there, and everywhere. D.C. was a complete and total anomaly. It was kind of interesting because I was looking at the numbers this morning. It was like laughing about this whole thing. Okay. How many people are in Washington, D.C.? 700,000. How many people voted for Trump? 680.
Right. Well,
how many voted for Haley? Oh, under 1,300. Out of 700,000. Right.
It's crazy, yeah. Right? Well, that shows it's as deep state can get.
Yep.
Or does it show, if you want to put on your tinfoil hat, that nobody's actually in D.C. anymore?
Ooh. That's a good question. But it is clear that's why Trump wants to get the Jack Smith case, and a new venue, because you can't win as a Republican in D.C.
You cannot. It's a deep state stronghold. It's a Democrat stronghold. We've known it forever. The police are like that. The FBI is like that. It's sad, but it is what it is. Yep. So good luck doing anything conservative there. Unless you're a rhino, then you can get away with a little bit.
You can get away with a little bit more because you're playing on their side of the fence half the time. You got one foot on the other side of the fence, so you're okay there. So it's a no-win situation. They were talking a lot about the Jan 6 prisoners and how all those cases were tried in D.C., and these guys really didn't have a chance. There's no way they were going to get a fair trial there.
Yeah, craziness.
So we're just waiting for the Supreme Court to come around on more decisions. Apparently, there's talk that some decisions that are in their hands will come out in June after their session's over. At the end of June, they announce all the decisions they've made, right? So they're hearing cases, they're writing up their opinions, but it all gets released at the end of June when the session ends. Strangely, that's the way it works. And a lot of people are saying some of the decisions they're going to make will wipe out all the January 6th convictions. All that won't be able to stand. So fingers crossed, guys. Fingers crossed on that. That'll be interesting to see.
Although it's still D.C.
It's still D.C.
So don't lose your blood crossing your fingers too hard.
Yeah, exactly. Don't cross them until they turn blue. Not a good thing. U.S. has 5 million more illegal migrants than it did in 2020. Record-breaking numbers here, and this is from the U.S. Immigrations and Customs. So this is not made-up numbers. These are quote-unquote official numbers. They're probably fake anyway, but still, 2024 is projected to have 8.1 million non-detained asylum seekers and immigrants facing removal. They're not going to face removal. That's wrong. They're not going to face removal. So if you look at it, 2020, it was 3.3 million, and 2024, 8.1. That is a massive jump. This is what you get with open borders, and the question that we all have is like, well, why do they want all these migrants in here? And there was a conversation this weekend I was watching, and they were talking about redistricting. And, the census would redistrict, and they want all these illegals in there so that you get more in Congress on the other side.
That's a brilliant hypothesis, actually.
Yeah. So
yeah, that makes sense. Notice, folks, when Robert was reading that ad, it said they're facing removal, right?
Right. But they won't be removed. Yeah.
No, because that's again, we're just pointing it out. That's the spell casting that the mainstream media does. They play little games like that. So what they're doing is they're seeding you, which is we the people. So we feel sorry. We're like, oh, I feel so bad for them. It's a complete and utter lie. They're looking to place them, not replace them.
Right. They're looking to replace us is what they're looking for. Because
they're doing a damn good job of it.
Yeah.
Too.
Well, we don't vote the way they want us to vote. So we're a problem to them. And that's why they come after our channels. That's why they attack our channels. That's why they shadow ban us and sometimes kick us off completely. And, we just fight through it because we're not going to give in. If we gave into that fear, we wouldn't be here. We wouldn't be doing the work we're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, that's why we're here. All right. Time for a refresher break. What do you think?
Oh wait, are you? Am I going to beat you to it today?
You beat me to it. Oh well. Catch up.
That's why I look 84 instead of 124.
That's right. We look so much better because we use Numi Skin daily, and Bruce Poppy uses it on his head too. So he has no wrinkles, no forehead wrinkles. I don't know. He's looking younger and younger all the time. So this is a great product. This is a product that is a nanoparticleized glutathione product, and it's an external spray. And this is not one you ingest. This is for your skin, and you can use it on any part of your body that you want to. And what it does, it reduces wrinkles, tightens the skin up, helps with age spots, gets rid of those, and it also lightens your skin. People are looking much, much, much younger when they use it. Here's our friend Christine Geiger, who is a very, very powerful champion and helps us out so much here. Thank you, Christine, for all you do. This is a 1 year difference, February 2023, with makeup on. And guess what? She's one of those women who says, guess what? I can go out without makeup now. Isn't that amazing? I don't know. She looks so much better in 2024. She looks younger to me, like 10 years younger. It's incredible. And she's had a year with a lot of strain, a lot of stress. And so she's using the Numi Skin, also the Nutra Swish, which is the internal version. You put this in your mouth, you swish it around, and goes sublingually into your bloodstream immediately and gives the liver what it needs to detox and deal with oxidative stress. And one of the challenges with glutathione is we get older, we don't make as much. And if we had no glutathione, we wouldn't be alive, just to give you an idea of how important it is. So those levels start to drop as we age. So supplementing it and getting into the system is really important. You can get supplements. The challenge is they go into the digestive tract and they get destroyed. So this bypasses that, goes right in under the tongue, and your body absorbs all those nanoparticles. Good nanoparticles, not bad ones. Goes right into the system and helps the liver. And for the ladies, it's hers for Hims, right? Or Hims for hers. What do you call it?
I call it hers for him.
Hers for Hims. So this is Numi Hers. This is for the ladies. This is a product that will help you with that time of the month, the symptoms, the mood swings, all the the emotional outbursts and stuff that goes on. I mean, it's just like there's such a list of things. I don't know how the women deal with it.
Careful, that's a fine line.
I don't know how women deal with that every month. It's like, whew, every 28 days. It's like, the circuits go crazy. So I feel for you, ladies. I see it, and it's like, whew, it's a tough one. But this product helps a lot, helps with the hot flashes, helps with the mood swings, the emotional stuff. It's a botanical, and they use the same technology as they did in NutraSwish to get those botanicals so they're absorbed sublingually. Go to work right away. People are having hot flashes, or ladies with hot flashes, they'll find the hot flashes get resolved pretty quickly. Within minutes, they're gone. And we keep hearing that again and again. So you want to take a look at that. The link for this is in the description of this video, and it is different for every channel you're watching on. So whatever channel you're on, just go into the description and you will find a link for Numi. And you support our show when you buy from them. So we appreciate that.
You do.
Yeah.
You do. Thank you.
So, Mr. Arizona boy, let's talk about Maricopa County, and let's dispel some of the crappy information that's out there, and let's bring out the truth.
All right. So I have to start by saying it's been a stressful week for many involved. And I've had several friends that were involved in this whole Maricopa County thing. And I want to set the stage a little bit. We have to understand that for the last year, there's been a team of warriors, I mean, big time, that are at the meeting, and there's a team around them supporting them for over a year. And they've been in the last couple of months making strides, and you can see that the Board of Supervisors is getting very frustrated because they don't know what to do anymore. They can't play their games because we call them out on their games immediately. So I wanted to set the stage to say that they've been working at this so hard for so long and doing a great job. And the progress has built to this moment that went viral. Unfortunately, the moment went viral for the wrong reasons, right? And I don't know who it was that who did it, who manipulated the message, right, and got it out there. What I know, though, is a lot of large platforms that got it wrong have known that the message that they put out there was wrong for days, and they've still not retracted or corrected the record, which I think is really, really sad. So I'm not calling out any names. In fact, I'm trying to bring unity. I want to bring closure to this, but I just want to follow up. I took a couple of notes just so we had some context. So Monday, we already had information that Jack Sellers, who's the chairman of the Board of Supervisors, right, that he and the BOS were having meetings with attorneys regarding the open comment time. And how do we know that? Because we got some inside information on that. And then they had to publish something in regards to that legally on a website. I believe, don't quote me, I believe that's what happened. So we knew a couple things. We knew Jack Sellers had a meeting at 11:30 with who? An organization that's part of the World Economic Forum, that they're trying to bring in these 15-minute cities into Phoenix and other places, right? The disgusting, and he's part of that. So we already knew it, right? So I believe the mistake, if they're going to they'll take ownership of it, is when they were preparing the paperwork, knowing that they were going to try to shut down the meeting 11:30. I think they should have been a little bit prepared sooner to do that, and they could have delivered it appropriately. So what happened is, when it got right to 11:30, the Board of Supervisors were, in my opinion, looking for an excuse to shut down the meeting. And this is what I want people to pay attention to. This is how sick these bastards are, right? It's 4 Republicans, 1 Democrat. They vote exactly the same, all 5 zeros, virtually on every agenda item from the beginning of time. There's virtually no dissent whatsoever. These are disgusting rhinos. They do nothing for we the people that are in there. So instead of trying to work with the people, they were having secret meetings on how to circumvent the voice of we the people. In fact, that day, I found out that there were 23 people that were signed up to be in public comments. So knowing the Board of Supervisors knew that they were going to cut this meeting off at 11:30, instead of pre-announcing this, they let all of these people show up to the Board of Supervisors meeting, go through their hour and a half of BS, and then they knew that they would be cutting it short. So 7 people spoke. One lady at the end wanted to give her time to somebody else, right? They would not allow that, which, by the way, is they have no rule against it. So somebody from the audience that I know was quoting, I believe it was Madison versus Marbury, and they were quoting how there is no rule in regards to this. You cannot shut down another speaker if they just want to give their time to somebody else. And so what they did is, the handler of Jack Sellers, which would be Clint Hickman, the former chairman of the BOS, the guy with the chicken ranch that just happened to have ballots there that burned to the ground. It's all coincidence, I'm sure. Clint Hickman goes over and whispers to Jack Seller. And I'm assuming he said, okay, this is your excuse, go. And somebody overheard them or saw them already organizing their papers to get ready to stand up and go. And then he whispered. So the controller, and immediately he pounded the gavel. He goes, adjourned. And they ran out. I mean, they left the meeting so quickly. And then it looked like chaos, but it really wasn't chaos. It was more organized chaos. And here's where it got bad and it got good. Somebody was talking to them on one side. Somebody was talking to the sheriffs on another side. Somebody was dealing with security. And then somebody else went up and took the microphone, right? Somehow all that got edited as if the speech on the microphone and the delivery of this paperwork happened, and then that's why these people ran out. That's not the way it happened at all. In fact, by the way, they've never been served to this moment. according to what I know. There's a claim that they've been served, but it doesn't look like that was even done correctly, right? And this is no, I'm not calling anybody out here. I just want people to have the facts and they can make the decisions themselves. So it sounds like a total debacle, a total mess, a fabrication, but guess what? Here's the beauty that came out of it. The patriots that were there, they took over that room. They took over the Board of Supervisors room. They got security to back down. They got the sheriffs to back down, right? And they got to say what they wanted to say on their cameras, on their phones, on the microphone, everything. And that was a very, very important moment, because that showed that we the people, which we've been saying here forever, hold all the power. The sheriffs would not get them out of there. In fact, we requested the sheriff several times to be in the room while the serving was going on. They never got an opportunity to serve them. That's the way this thing went down. Here's the positive in it. Those warriors stood their ground, and the Board of Supervisors is running scared to this day. And it is a beautiful thing because the momentum is moving forward there. Now, the 20 million views or whatever on all this other superfluous stuff, that's great also, because they have a ton of people now calling and emailing, how can we help? So now it's only going to grow. A lot of people said, what's been your input? I don't talk too much about it because it's private, but I'm holding meetings with the people involved. I'm trying to get them what I call a little bit more organized, and I'm trying to give them direction in regards to how to be proactive when they make these decisions. Let's review the paperwork and the processes a little bit more ahead of time, so on and so forth. That's what I'm asking them to do. And they seem to be very open to this. And then I'm meeting with some of their key personnel. So all in all, if I would say it's a net gain. And why this is important is because God acts in mysterious ways. You would never think the way this planned out that it would be a positive. And it absolutely is, because God brought attention to something in some place that needs to get the attention that they never got before. And now they just need to move forward and keep doing things the way they're doing it and do it right and put the pressure on more and more and more, get more people involved. And then we will take back Maricopa County. So ultimately, I think it's all good. Of course, Lewis, as normal, had all these notes and I ended up not reading any of them. So there we go.
I think you're going to end up posting them on Telegram later.
No, don't give me that task. Please don't.
Just take a picture and then post it.
No, you're going to need ciphers to read my writing.
That's right. Well, I think Master Baggy's good at that. He's got a background in that stuff, so maybe he can do that for you.
Yeah, and there's big stuff to come in Maricopa County, and a few other. I'm not going to say where. About 4 other places in the country. You guys are going to be very, very pleased. Another reason for you to get involved, guys. We're taking our country back.
One board of supervisors at a time, huh?
Well, no. My involvement is, more of consulting in these spots around the country. Right. So, although I do fly in, as people know, generally unannounced, and see how I can support. So we'll see how it goes. I think it's going to be a lot more than one at a time. I think you're going to see this flare up pretty quick here.
Well, that's always what we're hoping for. We're hoping for that one domino that's going to start to, tip everything in our favor. And I think we're going to get there, because it's the hunter's monkey theory, right? There's nothing going on. There's just one little here, one little there, and then monkey 100 catches on. Then boom, all of a sudden they all do it. And I think that's what we're building towards that. It's a slow process. I know it's very frustrating to watch, but I think we're going to get there. Once we do, things are going to shift very quickly.
Yeah, I agree. And there's some processes that we're working on that are unique. I have some ideas, and I believe they have some real credibility to them. So I'm reviewing it with a bunch of people that are a lot smarter than me to see if it makes sense, and then they'll be moving forward in that direction. I hope. We'll see.
All right. So we move out of Arizona and we move over to California. What's going on in California with the primary voting? Well, let's see. As of late Friday, 2.6 million ballots had been returned, or 11.9% of the total sent to 22 million plus registered voters, according to Political Data's tracker. Okay. 11.9% is what's returned. That compares to 12.4% at the same point in 2022 and 15.2% in the 2020 presidential primary. If there isn't a late surge in mail voting or in-person voters on Tuesday, California could have the lowest turnout in a presidential primary ever.
Well, of course they will. And the reason why I'm stuttering is because I think people seem to forget the recall election of Gavin Newsom. That was a complete farce.
Yep.
Now think about it. Oh,
no way to opt out.
I've
You
heard
change
that.
your address
Oh,
and
so you saw it firsthand.
I saw it firsthand. I couldn't opt out.
Wow.
I said, I want to opt out of this. I don't want to be part of this. I want out. And they first thing they ask you, are you a citizen of the United States? Yes, no, or prefer not to answer. Either way, you move forward.
To register.
To register. So they're registering non-residents, non-U.S. residents.
Of course they are.
So then my question, then I look at that and I say, okay, so they're forcing illegals because they can get a driver's license here. They don't have to be a citizen to get a driver's license.
Right.
And that means they can register to vote, which they are forcing the registration on them. So does the California vote really count? How could it?
Yeah, it doesn't.
Yeah.
And interesting enough, picture this. If an illegal gets a driver's license, right, and never commits a felony, he will never get deported because they automatically assume because he has a driver's license, he's legit.
Yep.
So ISIS doesn't come after him. It never would happen. California knows exactly what they're doing, but you have to let's rewind 6 years. Was it 6 years? Yeah, 6 years ago, 2018. California tested ballot harvesting in Orange County, California.
Yep.
So all 5 Republicans won a seat in California. They woke up and they lost their seat to the Democrats because of the mail-in or the harvesting of the ballots that came in overnight. They weren't testing to see if ballot harvesting works. They knew it. They've been doing it all over the world, by the way. The world. The CIA has been doing it around the world, guys. Get this when you talk to people. It's been going on for multitude of decades, ballot harvesting. This is not new. What they did, though, in my opinion, is they tested the pushback from the conservatives.
And there was none.
None.
Nothing. Yep.
They literally said, oh, that sucks. We'll get him next time.
Yep.
At that moment, you know what the cabal knew? They knew
this.
They had the 2020 election won.
Yep.
They knew it.
Yep.
They were just drinking champagne and having a good time because they knew, because the apathy of our country, the people, was so high.
Now some state Democrats are urging officials to violate federal law and hire illegals for government jobs, even as Americans are dismissed. And after the news that Denver was laying off employees went viral, the city bristled at the term layoffs. Said, well, we're not doing layoffs, and hastily told reporters that it was not actually eliminating people. Instead, some employees were to have their hours reduced to 0. We're not laying you off, but you have 0 hours. There's nothing for you to do. Some
We
officials
love you. You have full benefits based on 0 hours of employment.
That's right. And your paycheck will reflect your 0 hours of employment. Some officials were considering hiring illegals for city jobs because paying illegals to do work or city work was not necessarily any more costly than paying them through welfare programs. It'd be great if you didn't have to lay off the people who already work there, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, we're going to see all these little lame things. You know what this reminds me of, Robert, is when inflation started, the first thing that businesses reverted to is shrinkflation. And that just meant they gave us a smaller amount of product for the exact same price. So we were under the illusion that there was no inflation because the inflationary numbers wouldn't transfer properly over to the feds who do the counting.
Right.
Interesting enough, this reminds me a similar way to do it. Well, we're not really, it's not a layoff. We're gonna reduce it to zero. Nothing's changed. You're the problem.
They're still employed. They just have 0 hours.
We have the same amount of employees. So again, there's another way they can affect the numbers. So the look at the unemployment rate's not going down, and we don't have inflation, and the stock market's normal, and silver is here, and it's a puppet show right now. It is.
It is.
And the beauty about it is, here's the way I look at it. And guys, I'm sorry if you're going to lose money in the near future, but it's probably for the greater good. But I believe this is the way it works. Everybody's familiar with the example of a balloon. And the markets, the economy, everything always goes through a bust. And when it busts, that's when everything falls apart. Unfortunately, what happens is this balloon that we're dealing with, they figure a way to make it more expansive and more expansive and more expansive, and put pressure in all the right places so it grows evenly, right? The challenge is now you have a more densely filled balloon than ever before. So when this one busts, the ramifications are going to be disaster.
Yep.
And that's what I see is happening. They're finding a way to patch this balloon up and keep the air from leaking out here and here. And it's building more pressure and more pressure. So finally, when it goes, it's going to be astronomical.
Yep.
And it's sad to say, and that's why be really smart about your money. Maybe I'm not a financial advisor, but maybe being within the central banking system may not be a great idea.
Exactly right. We're hearing a lot about the insolvency of the 3 major banks and how they just don't have the money that you put in there. So if there's any run on the banks whatsoever, they're going to be out of cash. And we know because they started limiting how much cash you could take out about a year ago. I had a friend of mine wanting to take just $5,000 out. She had to make an appointment a week later to be able to get access to that money. Her money. They didn't have it.
So I saw this years ago because owning a construction business, I had to do massive transfers, sometimes cash transfers from one place to another. And it went from no limit to we limit 10,000 and of course report you, to now we limit to 5 to 3 to call us ahead of time. We'll let you know if we have it.
Wow.
Yeah, it was scary.
Yeah.
I saw it firsthand. And that was just 3 years ago. Wasn't too long ago.
Yeah, it's happening now. And, just pay attention, people. These are certainly signs. The other sign that popped up, which is really interesting, is if you look at Bitcoin is up about $10,000 in the past. What are we looking at here? We're looking at a 7-day chart. So it's up about $10,000 in value. So where's the money going? It's going out of the cabal system. It's going into metals, because we saw gold hit an all-time high today as well. Silver is up as well, but not quite as much. And Bitcoin's going through the roof here. What does it close at? 67,000 now? Crazy numbers.
Well, remember, just not long ago, we had the Bitcoin bust, as I call it.
Yep.
I believe you're seeing the same thing. Now, the question is, will Bitcoin bust and people start moving their money to different places like XRP or XLM, or will they all be affected?
Well, Bitcoin tends to, in the past anyway, from what I've noticed, it raises, when Bitcoin goes up, everything else goes up, and when Bitcoin goes down, everything else goes down. Not typically, you see one go down, one go up. It hasn't been typical, but it may be going forward. That money's got to go somewhere.
Well, that's the thing. Are they going to lose confidence in Bitcoin and gain confidence someplace else?
Right.
And I see that may be more likely, because whether we like it or not, I do see digital currency in our future.
Yeah, I was talking with our buddy Bruce Poppy this morning about that too. He was asking about it, and I said, there's going to be no way around it. We are going to go to a digital currency of some kind. The hope is that it's just not going to be a central bank digital currency, that it'll be more open source, where we the people have the control over it, not Big Brother. I'm sorry, Lewis, your hair is too gray. You can't get a haircut today. It's like, you know what I mean? It's like they could make it on any excuse they want. They could
Yeah.
block you out. And they were showing in China that people had to show their social credit score to get toilet paper.
That's where I was just going to go with
Yep.
this. It'll all be about social credit score
Yep.
if they prevail, and they're not going to prevail, guys. So manifest that they will not, and they will not. But it's going to be all based on social credit score. Now, what is social credit score? I'll make it really easy for you. Do you comply to the government agenda or not? It's that simple.
Simple.
If you comply, you have a high social credit score. If you don't, you have a low social credit score. And it has nothing to do with anything social. It has to do with your behavior.
Is acceptable to the powers that be. Yep.
That's right.
It's kind of like being in class at school, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. Well, I have a very low social credit score everywhere I go.
Well, I think we both do.
I'm good at it. There's my new T-shirt. Low social credit score here.
Hang with me and lower your credit score, your social credit score too.
Right, exactly. Spend 5 minutes with me, and your social credit score will go to the ground. It will sink.
Well, I'll share this little. It's a joke. I thought it was kind of funny. I'll share it with you. I have to read it though because there's no graphic or no video with it. So, sitting at the supper table, must be an English joke. The son says, "Dad, I think I'm a cat." Dad says, "No, son, you're a boy." The son says, "No, Dad. Some of my friends identify as cats. They all call themselves furries. And so do I. It's my right, and you can't do anything about it." Dad says, "Okay." My son says, "Hey, what's for supper?" Dad says, "Your supper's in the cat food bowl in the corner. Now get off the table, you mangy cat." Son goes, "What?" Dad hits him with a broom. "Get off the table, furball." My son in the corner looking bewildered when he says this to his wife. "Is that cat neutered?" My wife, "I'll make an appointment." The son says, "What?" "Dad, your mother and I decided we don't want a house cat, so get out of the barn and hunt mice." The son says, "What?" Dad brandishes a broom. "Now, to the barn with you, stupid cat." The son says, "Dad, I think I'm a boy." Dad says, "I thought so. Now sit down and eat your supper." I hope I did that justice. It's not my normal thing to read jokes.
You did. Yeah, you have to fight fire with fire. That was awesome.
Yeah. Well, this is a Tony Robbins strategy, by the way, with if you want to get people to quit smoking or quit drinking or quit any bad behavior, is you take it, you go along with them until it becomes into the absurd, right? And they go, "Well, I don't want this anymore." And it does work because you break that pattern.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I liked it from a lot of perspectives. It's kind of fun to see that. All right, we have a little motivational video here to end our day. What are you good at and how can you help other people? People are asking the question, what can I do? What can I do? What can I do? Every one of us has a different answer to that, right? Mm-hmm. And it's an internal thing. So I look and I say, what am I good at? I can present. Okay, good. So why don't I present some news? Why don't I talk about the issues, right? And Lewis is really excellent at organizing. He knows how to motivate people, large groups of people, get them going in that direction.
The ladies had more of an impact on that board than any other force in the world.
Right.
And that was because of the way Rosie the Riveter and we create an operation that was nobody could have expected. And it was epic. And I always have to preface with, if you believe the history, because we understand how the history is manipulated.
Right.
I've been saying this to kids, everybody I can for years and years and years. And that is, God gave you a special ability. You're very good at something that most people are not.
Right.
Everybody has it. There's something that everybody has. Don't slap God in the face by ignoring it.
Yep. And the other thing that is real important, a powerful, powerful lesson here, is that because we're so good at something, we undervalue it. Right? I'll just do it because I'm really good at it. I don't even charge you for it. We do that a lot. But the reality is that's a skill, that's a gift that you have that somebody else doesn't have. And if you offer that service to them, you should get compensated correctly for it.
Yeah.
Right?
I agree.
It's easy. It comes naturally to me. I'll just do it for you. No problem. I've done that a billion times. It's like, I got to stop doing that. You know? I need to get paid for my efforts.
Yeah. Yep, I agree.
All righty. That brings us to the end of our little sojourn here today. So fast. It feels like we've been on the air for 15 minutes, but it's actually been a little over 90. So
yeah.
Thank you, Lewis. Appreciate you coming on board and bringing us the color and filling in with a lot of your commentary and perspectives. It really helps a lot.
Cool. Speaking of color, somebody was asking me how long did it take my hair to change colors on Numi. I think it was 2.5 months, if I recall. And Alan Fountain did a great reminder. Alan Fountain just typed in chat. Folks, pay attention to this. This is the most important thing of the day. Alan typed in, I had to refollow you, Screw Big Gov, Lewis, as they unfollowed me again on Rumble.
Ugh.
So people ask why our numbers just stay the same. It's because they seem to cut about 200 at a time. Every time we get 200, they cut 200, get 200, cut 200, get 200. So it's really hard for us to gain any traction. So even though we know our channel is growing, we know it. We look at the viewership and we look at all the people asking us to simulcast and so on and so forth. So we know it's growing. We know it's doing great. We look at our goal was to reach the top 10 in lives by the end of the year, and we did it within 6 months. And now we're always in about the top 4 or 5, it seems like.
Yep.
So on Rumble. So we're doing fantastic. Not complaining at all. Thank you, God. Grace is here. We are very grateful. But what we do know is for some reason our followers, I guess you call them here on Rumble, are not increasing. It's because it's being manipulated. And Alan just pointed out again, there you go. So guys, even if you go, well, I subscribe, I follow, you may want to double check because they're unsubscribing you like mad. That's it, folks.
They are.
Appreciate you. Tomorrow, exclusive interview with Nicholas Vinny Amon. This will go viral, I'm sure. We will ask questions of him that he's probably never been asked before. He better be shaking in his boots right now.
With both of us asking him questions, he's going to be in the hot seat, no doubt.
He is in the hot seat.
All righty. Thank you, guys. Appreciate you. Love you all. And we'll see you tomorrow with a fabulous interview. Can't wait for that. Have a great evening. Thank you, Lewis.
Thank you. Good night.